All right, we have a new Skybase tech. We have two Skybasers. We've got Brennan Boy and Jordan, or only IQ, or only on height, or always on height, whichever name he's deciding at the same time, playing a Skybase and actually qualifying through the play-ins on NA Central. So I want to see the strat, see exactly what they're cooking up. All right, off the rip. Where are they landing? Well, I've already noticed. It's to the northwest of Battlewoods. Or sorry, to the west. So specifically, they're landing on this slurp truck that's here, so they can just insta get 100 shield each. And then there is a few chests in this area that they can get. Of course, skybasing, getting good weapons isn't exactly the most important part of the game plan. So I do want to see like what is the main things they actually look for and what they're trying to carry. In terms of teams around them, there is basically no one. Like obviously there's a team in Battlewoods, and usually you have a team south and then one team north. But like this area is relatively uncontested for the most part in terms of loot. And there is actually still like a lot to play with in this area. Of course, they have the slurp truck down here. They have a bunch of chests that they kind of just rotate through and around. Usually you're going to see the teams north Battlewood come out here and grab it. But if you just land here, then obviously you can loot into this much earlier and get it before they can. All right, so off the rip, we do have nice tech from Jordan coming out, shooting the fishing holes with the Chaos Exploder Rifle, the most underused weapon because it's kind of dog, obviously. But it gives them floppers. Now, as you may be able to guess, if you're going to play and do a Skybase strat, a lot of these players end up flying up into the storm a lot. So they need medkits, they need floppers as well. And of course, in this area, actually, there is a considerable amount of fishing holes. I think this is the most fishing holes of any drop spot, so this makes the spot even better for this exact strategy. Yeah, like having a look around, of course, there's like quite a lot in the south side in this area down here. They're relatively spread out around here, but you've come up, like this is the highest concentration. There's 7 here and 6 in this area. Of course, they're kind of bypassing this side and just going up to the north. So what's that like? They got 7 up there, and then as they rotate, they might even be able to get even more around this area or around here too. All right, so leaving this drop spot, 620 gold and over 1,000 gold. Good mats for both. Shotgun in one. Well, both have shotguns. Heals, already got a couple medkits, couple shields, couple bigs, couple nades. We already know just looking at this clip from the start, because I skipped forward. Boots are going to be a big thing, so I want to see how they manage to actually get these and then end up how they play them as well. All right, they've now rotated all the way up to the mending machines up here. So essentially their looting path was here, fish, run up to the mending machine up here. And then I imagine this is where they're going to get the boots. Yes, they're both buying boots at the same time from here. So what are we dropping? We've got gold each, lots more medkits coming in, so they don't need all of those floppers at the same time. A chug jug as well, classic heal off. So we've got 5 medkits, 4 floppers. Yeah, we're not going to take 6 medkits. I think that's probably all the gold. 5 medkits, 4 floppers, a chug jug. We've got nades, boots each, pistol on Brennan only, and then the cheek shotgun on Jordan. I imagine obviously because some of these games, very few of these games will still have surge. They're kind of benefiting from the fact that a lot of people are just W keying in the play-ins, so the games aren't super stacked. So having something like a Skybase actually works a little bit better. All right, capping up their metal, basically just getting entirely capped mats. Of course, you're going to Skybase. That's the most important thing. We're going to see if we can take some lessons for this for non-Skybasers, of course. Most importantly, just having like a good early and mid game where you don't get griefed and you actually manage to get some loot. So important. Like you don't need to land at the best drop spot. You don't need to land at a big POI. As long as you can just get some loot off spawn, and you know, really the rest of the game is just significantly easier from there rather than, you know, getting conned and fighting all the time. So if you're like a team who's just trying to do well, being consistent off spawn, even in like a really bad drop spot, is much better than getting W keyed and just having scuffed games and no loot every time. All right, so it seems like they're just going to sit down here. This is actually quite a smart play because they're basically in one of the underground tunnels here. And if a team jumps down behind them here, so say like someone jumps down here, firstly, I think I can't remember if this breaks this straight away or not, but either way, they're gonna have to then try and get through the ramp. It's gonna take time, and then they can just run. Obviously, they're not trying to fight with these kind of loadouts. And if someone comes this direction instead, like from here, they could just edit backwards and then zip line up. And the chance of them actually getting pinched is relatively low. Here's actually a good example of that. I think they're about to run in, and they just instantly run straight into a team. Great reactions. Slow reactions from Jordan, I will be honest. And then despite the fact that obviously they did not pay attention one bit, reset all of this and then just run away. And because they've got the boots and stuff, and nades also on top of that, they should be completely fine, just distance themselves. So they are going to use the boots to get into the storm. So they're going further away. So looking at actually what's going on here, there's Sphinx and Kanadas in this lobby. That wasn't them. Was that them? Actually, I'm not sure. 4 zones pulling here, so they've just started to take storm damage now, where of course, you know, realistically, they're going to be able to play Storm until 6th with these kind of medkits. Yeah, with these medkits and these heals, they'll be able to play that without actually getting any sickness at all. So let's see where the 5th zone ends up pulling. I forgot to check this earlier. All right, okay. That could not be any worse for them because they're obviously here. Ideally, if you're in this position, I don't know if they were like playing for a hill here. There's obviously like a big hill here and here. They're hoping for the playback and then they can build off of it. But in this scenario where you're pulling like a fully max zone, you're not getting the benefit of playing Storm. I guess they can still just like skybase across through this rotate, but then they're using way more mats, right? So they'll use the mats on this full rotate. I'm not sure how many that will actually take them. Let's find out. All right, so 5th zone. So it is a 2-tick currently, but that's why they have all the white heals. So even if they weren't skybasing here, they could still, like, this is still like a relatively good setup. You know, it's a bad zone and rotate for them, and they don't have the best loadouts to play from, but they are like capped mats entirely still. So either way, they're getting their shield popped up, they're getting heals up, and then I think they start to use the skybase right here. Yeah, so okay, so they've got the pre-edited ramp already off the rip. All right, med gets popped for Jordan. And this is the thing, you can just use the boots and then just slide up. The boots in particular are so good for this skybase meta because you can just do this, right? You can rotate so much faster. So I guess this max distance 5th zone that they have isn't as bad because they can just rotate it with the boots the entire time. And they can also pop med kits, like Brennan behind is popping the med kit to heal up his whites whilst they're still in the storm here, whilst Jordan continues to build this at the same time. I said the same time far too many times there. All right, fully out of wood for Jordan already. Starting to reach sky limit now. They can do the same thing. I think it's a little bit riskier here when they're doing it on a flax. It's just easier to fall off. And obviously they also want to usually have like a thin wall edited instead of using floors. But I want to see if they can manage to... Okay, so just going to go with a half floor all the way across. That is low-key genius. This is a terrible zone pool as well for them, right? Now they're into a 5-tick as well. Chug Jug's starting to get popped. They still have the floppers. They're still pretty far from zone as well, so they can't tank too much. But I guess this is where the floppers that they get from earlier is going to be super useful. They're getting out of the storm now, making sure they go all the way over to the edge. Nice, they've made it out. How high are we talking here? Okay, pretty high. So I can't remember the max render distances, but one thing you can do is you can open the nameplates. You can have the nameplates on, and then you can turn the off distance. So this is the one way you can find where they are. So they're currently 230 meters up above. So they are still in render distance because render distance is something like 270, 275, 280 in that range or something. So around like 230 meters above everyone else, just still up in the sky. All right, it's time to do the walls. This is where things get difficult. I wonder if they're going to use the boots still. Like surely there's a huge chance of you dying with the boots as just... No, they're just going to walk across. Okay. Rather than do the floors where everyone's going to start looking up and seeing you. So I guess they're comfortable using the floors and the boots tech early on. But now that they're way too high up and like over everyone, I guess that's when you just start placing the walls. Now, I've never done this, but I guarantee you I'm falling off. If I'm doing this, I am literally falling off. There's no way I'm not. All right, Storm. Oh, it did pop up. It's going now. Storm Surge did pop up there and they were 200 above. That's because they've basically taken 30 damage. So with net Surge at this point, you know, it definitely benefits them here because they don't actually need to deal a bunch of damage at all. Let me see that. Cut that part out. That was just a bunch of waffle. All right, so far they have pulled every single zone max and they still have plenty of mats left. 83. Okay, 10, maybe not. I'm not sure like how many zones you can pull when you're doing this and consistently actually make it alive without having to drop down with any mats. Because, you know, ideally if you're going to play up in the sky in Skybase, you really want the zone pullbacks. The zone pullbacks are where you make your money, right? Because those are the times you have to spend less mats. In this instance though, you know, pulling completely max zones, that's 3 in a row now. They're just going to drain so many more. So let's see where they actually end up pulling the next couple. All right, same again. 9th zone keeps going max. Surely 10th zone doesn't go max as well. Surely not. It does. Okay. Still hasn't pulled back for them yet once. And then 11th zone does the exact same thing. Okay, so every zone's pulled max. They have 200 wood left, 19 builds left from Brennan. So maybe this is enough. I shouldn't know if there's enough to get them like to the very end. Spoiler, they do actually win this game with 2 elims. I think this is one of the only games that they got over 1 elim. I think they only got 5 across the whole like 2 days. I don't know if they played 22 matches. I can't remember yet. I'll look at the leaderboard in a second. But yeah, they got 2 elims this game. So they went absolutely crazy. All right, we got 2 floors out. I want to see how they end this then. Brennan just died. Oh, that's interesting. So he's dying intentionally to Storm so that he can get the siphon mats so that they can continue skybasing. That is actually incredibly smart. That is really smart. So now he's died, sure, but Jordan now has the siphon mats that he can use, and he's got the pistol. So they have like a full loadout that he can play with. Very smart to keep it going, because that's the difference between like a top 4 and a top 2. So, and you know, when it comes to like leaderboards, that's actually where you get the big points. I think it's like plus 3 or 4. I can't remember how many it is per placement there. But if they die, then you just got to jump down. Or if they both jump down. But instead, allowing himself to die to the storm, super smart. All right. Top 3, it's all solos. There is potential they could get themselves over to one of the mending machines, but he's got 250 gold, so he can't use patch-ups. And they've taken so much storm that I think they get sickness anyway. So he's playing out every single one of the builds. And then good thing with the boots is you can just use the boots and it'll zoom you off and you can take no fall damage. But you can use the nade to jump down too. And then you can just nade them out into storm, right? Did they go faster? Or is he going to nade himself here? Is he going to nade himself? Oh, beautiful. Nades him off. Jumps down the low. Gets the free kill on Josh. Now the other guy's died to storm. Oh no, this guy's got so many chugs. Okay. We're down to heal off. I think he hit him with a pump as well there. Where's he gone? This guy's absolutely blind, man. He's tunnel visioning so much on the... This guy has no idea what the zone is. And Jordan gets the kill. Let's go. So yeah, they ended up 79th overall. 5 elims with 2 wins in 20 matches. You'll notice that game we watched there was the first. They got 2 elims with a win. They were pretty consistent. Third, a second. You know, a lot of like mid-game and early game deaths, I guess, when they just got found early. Because a lot of people are double keeping, so they see them. Unfortunately, these guys are slightly free kills with these inventories. 2 seconds in a row, and then ending with like a win in a second. So cool strat. The meta with the boots actually works pretty well for skybasing. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe. Peace.